When you think of modern British royalty, chances are that your mind immediately jumps to Queen Elizabeth II. She was on the throne for over 70 years. So it's hard not to feel like her presence has overshadowed the entire modern era of monarchy. But while she is often lauded as this steady, constant force in an ever-changing world, there's a lot more to her legacy than meets the eye. In fact, some would argue that she was one of the biggest driving forces behind how we view monarchy today. Upon ascending to the throne at the age of 25, she inherited a kingdom that was reeling from a Second World War. Britain had been through the ringer. The country was run down and exhausted, rationing food, struggling with post-war conflicts and dealing with a changing global landscape where they were no longer the top dog. Against this backdrop, the young queen faced not just the challenge of uniting her people, but also the uphill task of convincing them that a monarchy still had any place in the modern world. At the time, the British monarchy was deeply unpopular. Many felt that the vast privileges afforded to the royal family were out of touch with the reality of post-war Britain. While Elizabeth grappled with these challenges, her father, King George VI, had actually been quite popular during his lifetime. He'd been very active in supporting the war effort, giving hope and inspiration to his people. When he passed away, the nation mourned, leaving Elizabeth to ascend to the throne at a particularly low point in the monarchy's popularity. And being the world's most famous royal at such a young age came with its own set of challenges. There was huge public scrutiny on her every move, as well as the pressure to uphold centuries of tradition, while also making sure the monarchy remained relevant in a rapidly changing world. However, she rose to the occasion. Now, Elizabeth's initial years on the throne were marked by financial struggles as Britain grappled with post-war austerity. But rather than shying away from the realities of the situation, Elizabeth embraced them. She lived a relatively modest life, famously reusing clothing and even learning to drive a tractor. This down-to-earth approach helped humanize the monarchy, making them appear more relatable to the average Brit. Her coronation in 1953 was also a masterful display of pageantry and tradition that resonated with a nation eager to reclaim a sense of grandeur. The ceremony was watched by a record-breaking 27 million people on television, setting the stage for the role the monarchy would play in British culture for decades to come. As Elizabeth's reign progressed, she played an active role in shaping the Commonwealth, a group of 56 independent countries representing a quarter of the world's population and 2.2 billion people. While most associate the Commonwealth with Queen Elizabeth, it was actually her father who first initiated the idea of a Commonwealth of Nations, originally called the British Commonwealth. However, given that most of these countries were formerly part of the British Empire, many saw the Commonwealth as simply a way to maintain imperial influence. Elizabeth's father, King George VI, understood this and so used the group as a platform to advocate for greater cooperation and understanding between nations. And this approach was well received. By the end of his reign, the British Commonwealth had grown to include 44 member states. Upon assuming the role of head of the Commonwealth, Elizabeth continued this trend of cooperation, traveling to every member state at least once during her lifetime. Through these visits, she emphasized the importance of shared history, cultural exchange, and economic collaboration. In doing so, she reshaped the narrative around the Commonwealth, transforming it from an imperial remnant into a symbol of unity, diversity, and progress. But perhaps the most significant impact Elizabeth had on the modern monarchy was her approach to media. From the beginning of her reign, Elizabeth recognized the power of television and the press. Unlike her predecessors, she understood how to use media to her advantage, carefully crafting her public image to connect with her people. The famous Christmas broadcasts became an annual tradition, offering the Queen a direct line to her subjects. Through these addresses, she discussed important issues, offered words of comfort, and celebrated national triumphs, all while maintaining a personal touch. For instance, in 1957, she talked about her beloved Corgis, endearing her even further to the British public. Another example was her 1969 address, where she acknowledged the growing pains of a changing society, stating, "I know there are many people who think we should be doing much more to improve the lives of our fellow citizens, and that the monarchy has no place in modern Britain." She went on to explain that while times change, the fundamental duties of the monarchy remain the same. It was a masterclass in using media to both acknowledge and adapt to change. Elizabeth's understanding of media extended to embracing new technologies. As early as 1972, she sent her first telex message, and in 1976, she became the first British monarch to send an email. During her Diamond Jubilee in 2012, she sent a message via Twitter. 2 years later, she became the most followed living person on the platform. And in 2014, she made history by posting the first Instagram photo. Kicking off the official @British Monarchy account, these moves humanized the monarchy, making them more approachable and relatable to younger generations. They also demonstrated a willingness to adapt and evolve, a key factor in the monarchy's survival in an ever-changing media landscape. However, Elizabeth's relationship with the media wasn't always smooth sailing. There were times when the press scrutiny became too intense. Notably, after her son, King Charles, separated from his wife, Princess Diana, famously declaring, "Annus horribilis," or horrible year, in 1992. Despite the difficulties, the Queen never shied away from the media. She understood that maintaining a connection with the public was vital for the monarchy's survival. Her Christmas broadcasts often addressed sensitive issues, demonstrating her empathy and ability to connect with her people on a deeply emotional level. One particular Christmas broadcast in 1991 is remembered for its candor. The Queen spoke frankly about the breakdown of her son's marriage, expressing understanding and compassion for those going through similar difficulties. She said, "1992 has been an unusually tough year for my family, and indeed for many others throughout the country. I speak to you in the very heart of London, a city coming to terms with the scourge of AIDS. People have been shattered by the relentless march of the disease." That honesty and empathy helped maintain public support, crucial during times of crisis. While the Queen's media strategy was effective, the monarchy's popularity still saw its ups and downs. For instance, the 20th century brought increasing calls for a constitutional monarchy with less power for the royal family. Elizabeth navigated these challenges by remaining steadfastly apolitical. She adhered to the constitutional principle of royal impartiality, never voicing political opinions or endorsing parties. This stance ensured that, while the monarchy's role evolved, their neutrality remained intact, contributing significantly to their enduring legitimacy. Perhaps one of the most impactful aspects of Elizabeth's legacy is the example she set for future generations of royals. She showed that it was possible to balance tradition with modernity, duty with empathy, and power with humility. Her eldest son, King Charles, has continued in this vein, emphasizing the need for the monarchy to be relevant in a changing world. He's made efforts to slim down the monarchy, focusing on the core members and their roles. Time will tell if these efforts will reshape the monarchy into a leaner, more efficient institution. The true measure of Elizabeth's impact on the monarchy is the way she redefined the institution for the modern era. She didn't merely hold on to tradition, but adapted it, making it more accessible and relatable. In doing so, she ensured that the monarchy not only survived but thrived in a world that was constantly evolving. She left behind a legacy that emphasized the importance of service, duty, and empathy, values that will continue to shape the British monarchy for generations to come. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please show your support. It really helps us grow. Also, let us know what other topics you would like us to cover in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.